Begin. How are you doing, Harit?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I know it's been like almost 3 years
Three
since we
years?
were at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
class fall.
yeah.
I think it was fall of 20.
Fall of 20?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And it's what, fall of 23? Yeah.
yeah,
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and originally, and
yeah,
what countries, how many countries did you grow up?
yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Kerala. I was born in Calicut, actually, city of Calicut, and I moved to Dubai right away. I'm actually the third generation in Dubai,
Okay.
and so my granddad grew up there. My dad, he went to university in India, and that's where he met my mom, and they moved back to Dubai again, just start a life there from scratch. And I know I mentioned, in the writing class, I was kind of emphasizing that a lot. Growing up in Dubai was definitely an experience that a lot of people don't expect. I think everyone has a particular view about Dubai, but Dubai is at that time in the 2000s, it was still growing. It was still a young city, young state, and growing up there, seeing that growth and growing with that momentum was I feel like was a blessing to me. So I despite growing up in another, in the Middle East, I still had a lot of like my roots uh, with my family in my Indian culture, and I always embrace that. And and Dubai has a big Indian population, and there's always everything that happens in India happens in Dubai, more so in terms of like festivals, in terms of celebrations, um, even in terms of religion. So I think that aspect of me not giving up on my culture, but at the same time being able to grow in an environment that allowed me to step out of my comfort zone at a very young age, I think was a blessing for me. Yeah.
So Dubai, Dubai felt like an extension of India in some ways, right?
I would say to an extent. However, I felt like it was a clean slate, even for my family, and it was a fresh start. It was a start. It was more so a city where, hey, like you're gonna get what you put in, and the success is based on that. The growth is based on that. I mean, as much as it was an extension, it's still not the same. I want to highlight that. Going back to India, I would spend 3 months out of the year, every year in India to see my grandparents. I wouldn't say it's the same. I wouldn't call it an extension, but I would call it kind of like there were connections. There were connections.
But you knew it was clear that you were not in India when you were in Dubai.
Yes, 100%.
So, at what age did you leave Dubai to come to the States?
I moved for university. I graduated high school, and I took my SAT like a lot of students, and my co-curricular activities, my extracurricular activities, and my academics. A lot of that got me a good scholarship in a lot of schools in the United States. I was actually um, looking to go. My options were pretty broad. I applied to around 30 universities. I got into like 28, and I chose USF mainly because of the this good scholarship and the states, the opportunities in Florida, and the degree that I wanted in. I felt like Florida was a good place for me to, you know, set up shop and start my journey.
So, how different was life for you coming to America in comparison to Dubai? Was it similar in terms of uh, modern, modern technology and culture, and the glitz and the glamour of Dubai?
I think Dubai is a little has got more. I would say, I think is more advanced than the states, in my opinion. I feel like, growing up there, the peak of technology, the peak of innovation, architecture, science, technology, engineering, everything was top notch in Dubai. I mean, I think part of the reason was because they were trying to accelerate and be on top of the world as fast as possible. But I mean, coming to America, I think more so it was not about growing up in a place that was a little bit more, you know, as advanced in terms of like society, culturally, socially. I think it was more so me taking that leap of faith to step out of my comfort zone, move away from family, and I've always dreamt of being independent, kind of working for myself, paying for my own education, and that's something that's always I've always had in my mind growing up, especially middle school and high school, and I worked for that. I worked for that, and and I was able to get those scholarships, get the opportunities in the United States in terms of jobs, and pay for my school, pay for my education. So I think the main difference I would say, the main highlight I would take away is the fact that I was able to be independent. I feel like if it was the other way around and I was an American citizen and I moved to Dubai, it would be the exact same thing. I feel like it's just the independence aspect that, hey, I'm here by myself. I got no family, no connections. I don't know anybody. It's kind of like being pushed into a very challenging, uh, kind of like a, when someone pushes you into a pool when you kind of learn how to swim on the deep end. It was kind of like that.
So looks like it was you learned the tools of finding a job, like statistics and other academic stuff. But a big part of learning was just being on your own in the United States. Is that right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I think I'm a very social person.
Hmm.
So for me, in terms of being alone, wasn't really a big factor when I moved here. I made friends quickly. I always had like a lot of connections in terms of engaging and with people. But I would say the biggest factor was being away from family,
Mm.
and I think the family aspect was something that I missed out on. Like I missed a lot, especially being here. But I did take steps into kind of working with that, especially joining a fraternity on campus and a lot of organizations, kind of finding that the group of people over here that I resonated with. I think that helped a lot.
Okay, so but you now 4 years. It's been 4 years or 5 years since you
It's
graduated,
been
since you came the first
since
time.
2018. I got here in
So
August
5 years,
2018.
right?
Yeah,
It's been
5 years.
5 years. Looking back, do you think you've grown as a person?
I
It's not the
want.
same Harit who moved here when he was 18.
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like that to say the growth is substantial would be an understatement for me. I
Wow.
feel like I'm gonna be like very candid. It's more so university was challenging for me. I would say when COVID hit, I would say that was the most challenging part where I was obviously at the risk of a lot of international students going home. I got kicked out of my dorm. I was sleeping on my friends' couches for like 6 months until the fall of 20 when I was in your class. And I remember that semester I had an emergency surgery
Oh.
that knocked me back for a while. And I think and numerous like adverse situations that kind of really push you out of the comfort zone, especially when you go through it alone by yourself and not without your family. I think uh, I wouldn't say I feel like anyone would be experiencing growth when they go through university. I think for me it was the fact that I had to mature quick and I had to go back to work. I had to go back to work and not be able to recover from my surgery that fast, because at the end of the day, I needed to put food on my table as well. I was never the type of kid. A lot of people ask me why I wouldn't ask my parents for a lot of money, just but I wanted to fight for that myself. I wanted to. I didn't want to be that. As much as people are a lot fortunate to have parents who provide them with aid and funds. I didn't want to be that. I wanted to earn it myself. So that degree meant a lot more when I graduated. And I remember the day um, I graduated. My mom. I was in tears, and because she as much as I never. I used to hardly open up to her about the adversity that I was facing here because I didn't want her to get stressed. But there was a part of her that really felt that something was going on. There was a lot going on, and
She could tell that
she
something
could
is
tell
something is not right.
exactly. And for 4 years, knowing that something is not right is a long time. So when I did graduate, when I did walk that stage, and I gave her a hug at the end, we both were in tears because she felt exactly what I felt without me telling her.
We've been both holding, our emotions and not letting
Exactly.
it on to affect each other.
That's right.
But finally, it just happened, right? Wow, that's so what a journey, right? I mean, 5 years that you grew from probably. I mean, I don't know if it's right to say it, from a kid to a man.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. Yeah.
And when tough time during COVID or whatever, when you had some kind of you needed emotional support, did you cling on to other Indian students from India or other places, or would you be able to relate to other Indians who came straight from India versus someone like you who's actually from India but didn't live in India much? Who were your go-to people?
So surprisingly, I had a very diverse group of friends. I I never I it's not that I never I always I had a lot of friends who were Indian, a lot of friends who grew up in the Middle East just like me. But I would say, the fact that I was social, extroverted, that kind of helped me have a group of friends that were from different various cultures. And I always enjoyed that. I think growing up in Dubai, I was always surrounded by Indians. I was always surrounded by folks from my culture. I think the fact that I was able to involve myself with various cultures over here within my friends, I think that was something that I truly enjoyed. I would celebrate festivals with my friends from Brazil, with my friends from Portugal, from Greece, and I think that it gives you a level of open mindedness that kind of you realize that hey, there's so much beauty in more than just my culture alone, and the fact that I was able to share my culture with them and their culture with me, I think I would say that I had a diverse group of friends that I could rely on.
Would you suggest the same thing for other students who come from different countries to come to study in America? Like instead of just clinging on to their group of people, they should also open up and let themselves mingle with people from different backgrounds and cultures.
Absolutely. I think I was able to I was fortunate enough to be an international orientation leader, and part of that experience is being with a group of students. And I remember when I did it, it was the last cohort that before the COVID happened. It was in 2019, and um, just having folks from like over 80 countries in one place and seeing the vibrance, the exuberance, the passion that they have for education, academia, the things that they wanted to learn. But despite them being from different parts of the world, it did not matter. I think it more so allowed people to step out of their comfort zone and realize that hey, the world is a lot bigger than we think it is, yet it's a lot smaller than we think it is.
So, wow. And now you're not a student anymore. You're a
No.
working man,
Yes.
and you have a full-time day, a job that is sort of called the real job,
Big boy job. That's how
big
I
boy job, right?
that's
And
how I like to call
you're a
it.
responsible man now. You're an analyst, and
Yes.
how different is your life now as compared to how it was at the
At
university?
university, I would say I feel like I'm a lot older now. I feel like after I
Older and
grad, in the
like as in,
sense
as in
like
wiser.
I would say so in terms of maturity, but I feel like I'm a lot more serious in my life right now, in terms of like my finances, in terms of like where my career, how I want my career to move forward, and I would say the biggest thing is getting into that lifestyle of the corporate lifestyle. I think that was something that was new for me. I did have a lot of work experience at university, but doing this full time, and I work remote, so working from home as well. It's a new dynamic that I had to kind of fathom quickly as after I graduated.
So you still work from home?
I still do, yeah.
Okay.
So the company is in California,
Okay.
and most of what I do is I cover the Eastern Time Zone operations
Right.
analyst for them.
And what are your long-term goals? Like for the next 5 years, do you want to continue to work? Like we just discussed, but you can talk again. You want to be a professor one day?
Yes, I do. I've always had a passion to teach. I think being at university, I did get the opportunity to teach over a cohort of like 600 students. I taught statistics, and it was amazing. I actually had a great time. I found a true passion in teaching, and as much as it was rewarding, I realized that hey, like I wanted to teach a higher level than this. So I would say my next 5-10 years would probably I want to get into academia, but I do want to give a couple of years of experience in corporate understanding, developing my skills in data science, and then I want to get into academia, do my Ph.D. in economics, and consult at the same time. So I want to do consulting and teach.
I'm going to ask you this question. You can answer the way you want.
Absolutely.
Um, like the reason why you want to teach is because you want to be called a professor, you want to have a PhD after your name, or something that calls or invites you as a teacher. You feel like you have something to give and share to students, share with the students. What is it like? Is it? I mean, for some people, it's like, oh, my mother wants me to have a PhD. Is that, or for you, it's like more about sharing your knowledge and making the world better?
So for me, growing up, my mom's a teacher. And I, ever since I was 2 years old, I would watch her teach. And she is a fantastic, fantastic teacher. And I could see the how mesmerized her students were. She taught biology for 11th to 12th grade in CBSE, and she was such an engaging, passionate teacher, and her students loved her. And I think that was an interaction that my mom had when she came to the United States to visit me. She met a student of hers who's a surgeon, a cardiac surgeon, right now in the United States with a family. And I was fortunate enough to see that interaction. And something I noticed was I don't think there is a bigger gift for a teacher to see their student succeed to a degree where they're impacting a lot of people. I mean, as a cardiac surgeon, you help hundreds of people, and I realized that you know there is a special gift when you share a knowledge, share a skill with people and pass it on to a different generation. So for me, it's not about the title. For me, it's not about hey, like I will be called Dr. Harit. It's more so I will be able to create an influence, a positive influence on students, and they will be able to take that and succeed in their careers. And I think I want to see that. I want to feel that I have imparted that knowledge to them, and they've used that in a positive way to change this world, to make that impact that they've wished to create.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Harit.
Absolutely,
It was a pleasure talking to you.
definitely.